This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Barrister at Imperium Chambers. Today, good news to make a change. Today I'm going to be talking about the announcement that the route to British citizenship will finally open for those of Chagossian descent. The good news, as most of the Chagossian community will already know, is that the Home Office announced a date for when people can apply. The route is going to open on the 23rd of November 2022. It is welcome and finally does provide people with a couple of months to get their paperwork together. And this is something that I'm going to be talking about in more detail, as this is going to be very, very important. At the outset, I would like to thank the Chagossian community for their tireless work to achieve this outcome, and the help of Henry Smith MP, who's spoken out about this, as it is very rare for this particular government to make any changes that actually benefit migrants in any form or another. While this change does not give a right to actually return to the Chagos Islands, it is an important step in my view, and I think a lot of other people's views, in righting what remains to be a huge historic wrong. I'm now going to be looking at how and what is required for an application to be made, and more importantly, what is going to lead to a successful and quick application. The first and most important question is who is eligible, and I think most people know the answer to this. The rules say that you are eligible to apply under this route and will become a British citizen and a British Overseas Territory citizen if you are a direct descendant of someone who was born on the islands that now form the British Indian Overseas Territory BIOT. This includes, obviously, the Chagos Islands. Now, how do you do that? You will need to provide evidence of this. Ideally, this would consist of a series of birth records showing a clear line of descent between you and someone born on the BIOT. The Home Office have said that they will consider all available evidence of descent, but you will need to reasonably demonstrate that you are a descendant or of somebody born on BIOT. And the BIOT administration is also in the process of digitising the records that it holds of births, marriages and deaths on the BIOT Islands, and this will also be available to the Secretary of State when the Secretary of State makes decisions. While the Home Office have said that they will consider all the evidence and will digitise some evidence, it should make it easier, the burden does rest upon the individual applicant to show evidence of descent. This is potentially the tricky part, as the Home Office may adopt a strict approach to documentation. We simply don't know what they're going to do. The reason for this, sadly, is that whilst the vast majority of people who will apply are genuine, it is my experience that there will be cases of fraud. The reason for this is that the concession, as it's stated, is free and will lead to British citizenship, and therefore will be attractive to disreputable individuals seeking to gain benefit from it. So, what can you do as a genuine Chagossian who qualifies? My advice would be to search high and low for any and all evidence to show that you are a direct descendant, whether that be birth certificates, marriage certificates or other evidence. It doesn't really matter what, just as long as you get as much of it as possible. As I say, it will be vital to include anything that proves the descendancy. The reason for this warning is that it would be a further tragedy in my view if this concession is not seen through a liberal approach and the Home Office takes its normal restrictive approach. So one needs to be prepared for that, and one has a couple of months to do that. It's also important to recognise that this concession is time limited. The window for obtaining British citizenship is essentially 5 years. This sounds a long time, but in my experience in dealing with a large number of EU cases post-Brexit, some people miss the boat just by waiting, and if you do, you will be very unlucky. So in short, my advice would be, if you qualify, then apply as soon as possible after the 23rd of November 2022. There are some further details that people probably are aware of, but I'll repeat. That if you're over the age of 18, you'll have, as I say, 5 years from the 23rd of November 22 to apply. If you're under the age of 18 on the 23rd of November, then you will have until your 23rd birthday to apply. The Home Office have also, for once perhaps, kept their promise that the application process will be free and that there will be no fee charged in order to arrange a citizenship ceremony. Currently, again, you're being asked to wait, and I would say during this waiting period, gather as much evidence as you can, as applications will be open on the 23rd of November, and the Home Office will provide further information on the application process itself closer to the time. You will be able to apply from your current country of residence, and the Home Office have stated that your application will not be considered sooner if you come to the United Kingdom. This is very important. Again, I would endorse what is said. We now have a date for when the applications can be made. I would not necessarily advise coming to the UK as a visitor, no matter how tempting it is, and apply from here. As if the process is slow, and the Home Office, as we know, is struggling at the moment, you could risk becoming an overstayer, which would amount to a breach of Immigration Act 1971. And it may in fact make it harder for you to sponsor, say, your spouse in the future. All applicants will need to apply for a British Overseas Territory citizenship, but can also choose to apply for British citizenship at the same time, as the application process will be combined. It's really a no-brainer here. My advice would be to apply for both of them. If your application is successful, and I hope with proper preparation they all are, then you will receive a letter inviting you to attend a citizenship ceremony where you will receive your citizenship certificate of registration as a British citizen, which will show how you obtained your citizenship. Then, most importantly, as a British citizen, you will be able to travel freely to the UK and be free of any immigration control or any immigration laws and enjoy the same rights as any other British citizen. The change in law and date that it will come into force, it's been a long time coming, but are very welcome, and we now have a date which we can work towards. Please do not hesitate to contact me if I can help with any aspect of the application process or any advice generally in respect of the Chagossian community. The only caveat and sad factor is that BIOT status does not give anyone the legal right to reside on the Chagos Islands, or as those have been prescribed essentially by this government. Hopefully that will change in the future, but the most important thing is we now have a date, we now know what we need to show, and it's time to get on with collecting the evidence. Thank you very much for watching this video. It's a little bit late, but I wanted to make sure that it was comprehensive, and I wish you all the very best of luck in applying for British citizenship, and hopefully we'll look forward to seeing some of you in the UK in the near future. Take care. Thank you very much for watching. This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Barrister at Imperium Chambers.